Oh, that was beautiful. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I thought I would make another different kind of video today. I have been watching a lot of mukbangs lately, and if you don't know what mukbangs are, it's basically a Korean, it's Korean culture, pretty much, but it's basically where you just eat a dish and you can either just like watch these people eat, or they can like tell stories and like kind of interact with you guys. And I've been watching a ton of this on YouTube lately, and I got inspired to make my own because honestly, I haven't eaten anything today. It is 4 p.m. The only thing I had today was a protein shake after I went to the gym. So I decided, why not make a dish. This is tteokbokki, by the way. This is a Korean dish that has a lot of rice cakes. If I can pick one up. Oh, it's slippery. My chopstick skills. Okay, these are rice cakes, and then I put some ramen in here, ramyeon, and then it's covered with green onion as well as black sesame seeds. I do have some kimchi over here, as well as some rice, and I made a nice Korean purple rice. So yes, this is one of my all-time favorite dishes. I haven't had this in such a long time, so I'm super excited. But I thought I would make this type of video because I wanted to kind of interact with you guys and, I don't know, let you guys know what's going on with me, and maybe this will be a chance for me to let me know what's going on with you guys too, because I feel like, I don't know, we should get to talk and everything. And oh my gosh, do you guys hear that? Okay, so let me just take a quick bite of this. If you don't like this type of video, I totally get it. It's totally random and totally maybe is not your style, but I just thought I would try something new, and I'm sorry if you don't like this. You can totally skip out of this video, but I'll be talking about some nursing stuff in here, so I don't know, maybe this will be this is definitely going to be an experience for all of us. If I could just get this huge, oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my gosh. This is really good. Wow. My first time trying it too. Let's try one of the tok, which is the rice cake here. It keeps slipping out of my chopsticks. Oh my god. I haven't had one of these in forever. Oh my goodness, so good. Okay guys, so the first thing I wanted to address in this video is a lot of you guys have been reaching out to me with the thought that I am from the Bay, like I'm currently living in the Bay Area working as a registered nurse, and that simply is just not the case, guys. So I went to school in the Bay Area, and I went to Unitech College, by the way, if you guys wanted to know, which is not your typical public school. It's actually a vocational school. And what that means is I paid money, basically. I paid some bank in order to get my nursing education in a very short, accelerated amount of time. I can't get over how good this is. Oh my god. Weird enough video for you guys. For my first meal of the day, oh my goodness, this is some good-ish. Where I live is about an hour and a half, 2 hours from the Bay Area. Where I live is kind of like the middle of everything. I'm like an hour and a half from San Jose, an hour and a half from San Francisco, hour and a half from Sacramento. I'm just like in the valley, basically. And I don't really like to put that out there, or like I don't like to put the name of my town out there because not a lot of people, I mean, my town is full of people. Don't get me wrong. I believe we have like, I don't know, at least a 400,000 people population, but it's like if you guys knew the city where I'm from, it's just kind of like, oh, okay. Like you'll know where I'm from, and it's just kind of like a close-knit community. Like when people are from this town, you're just like, oh, okay, like now I know where you live. And I don't know, I just feel like I just want to kind of keep that not well known, at least for right now. But a lot of you that have reached out to me, I have felt comfortable enough to let you know where I live. And some of you live like literally where I live. And it's so crazy. It's like, okay, maybe we can meet up someday and hang out, you know? But then again, I'm also always pretty much in the Bay. Or actually, not anymore, more so. I actually live more in, oh my gosh, pretty much. I actually am more in Southern California as of lately because I have a new boyfriend, I have a new relationship, and he lives down there, so I'm pretty much there all the time, not gonna lie. Sorry if there's like all this stuff all over my face, for sure. This is like the messiest meal. So in this video, I wanted to address the whole California nurses making a whole crap ton more than the other states, because I've been getting a lot of hate comments or like negative comments in my how much money nurses make in California video concerning how living in California, the rent is a lot higher, and they're just like living wages are just so much higher. It's basically you're making the same amount as you are like in the other states. And guys, I just wanted to address that because as a Californian and being born and raised here, as well as now working as a registered nurse for 6.5 months and meeting so many travelers. I've met travelers from Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, New York, Louisiana. I've met so many travelers, and it's just, I just love meeting them all. But I've been learning a lot. I've been learning so much about, I guess, like how much an average nurse makes in those types of states and how much a traveler is making here in California, and if they think it's worth it or not. Like, how is it with them having to live here in California and like having to pay state taxes, and you know, it's just like that whole shindig of what's going on with how California nurses make so much, but then also living is so much more. It's so good. If you guys noticed, this meal is very carb centric. Like, look at all these rice cakes over here, and then I have ramen noodles, and then I have rice. Like, oh, good thing I worked out today is all I'm gonna say. God. I wish you guys could come here and try this out. I'm going to be very transparent with you guys. Where I live, the cost of living is actually pretty decent. I know it has been recently rising up a little bit due to the Bay Area people realizing that everybody from my town commutes every day to the Bay, because obviously if you work in the Bay Area, you're going to make a dramatic increase of salary over there versus if you were to work somewhere here. To give you guys perspective, so like where I live, RNs that work in an acute care hospital, we make around like 43 to 75 an hour, depending on which hospital you work at. That's not including differential pay if you work the knock shift. So if you were to work in the Bay Area, I know starting is around, I want to say 50 to 80 an hour. That's through, like, that's obviously, I don't know because I don't work in the Bay, but that is what I have learned from all my classmates and friends that are in the Bay, still living there and working. Okay. Now this is just for Northern California, or yeah, it's for NorCal, as we like to call it here. If you were to work in Southern California or SoCal, the pay is dramatically less because, and the reason being is because people want to live in SoCal. People want to live in sunny California. They want to have the sun all year round, live in LA, close to all the celebrities and all these opportunities to do what? And you have the beaches and just great weather all the time. You have Disneyland. And because so many people want to live there and the population is already so inflated in Southern California, they're able to give nurses not that great of a pay wage because they know despite doing that, people still want to move there regardless. So that's why. So Southern California nurses will make, I've heard, like 20 up to maybe 55 an hour. And that's just like the max. It's so chewy. When it comes to living in the Bay Area, trust me, I've lived there. I've rented only, obviously. I've rented there as a student, both in San Francisco and San Jose. San Francisco is ridiculous, you guys. It is so hard to live there. If you're talking about like money-wise, just to get like a shared bedroom in a okay, like dinky kind of house, you could be sharing a bedroom, like a master bedroom, like 800 to 900. And yeah, like that's the best you're gonna get. If you want your own room in a house that you share with roommates, you could be paying upwards up to 1,100 to 1,800 a month. And it's like, how do you live in, like, it's just not realistic, honestly. It's not realistic to live, or like at least think long term about living in the Bay Area because of how ridiculous rent is. Also buying a house that isn't new, because everything's pretty much made there. It's like ranging in the millions. And I mean, they're able to do that because obviously living in the Bay, you're going to be making so much more, but it's because it's so expensive to live there. Every year, rent is raising. Every year, wages are increasing. And even the minimum wage in San Francisco, the last time I checked was $15 an hour. I don't know if it's raised since that last time I checked. I think last time I checked, that was like a couple years ago. So perhaps it's even higher now. What if it's like 18 an hour for minimum wage? Isn't that like insane? Like where I live, minimum wage I think is $8. Like I don't know. I remember I was making 10 an hour back when I used to work at a boba shop. But yeah, like I just think that is so intense. Like you could, if you made 15 an hour here, minimum wage, you could kind of like get by. I mean, yeah, maybe life would be a little struggle, but at least you don't have to pay a grip in an arm just to live in an apartment, you know? I'm definitely not going to finish this. The town in which I live in, you could rent a house, like a 2-story, 5-bedroom house, for like less than $2,000. I mean, I don't know if that's the case now, but I remember looking up houses. Because I was thinking about moving out. I actually, for your guys' information, I moved back to my parents' house after graduation. Why? Because I'm only 24 and I'm only here when I work, which is 3 days a week, and then for the rest of the time I fly down to SoCal to visit my boyfriend, which is it just wouldn't make sense for me to pay for my own house here or pay for my own living costs here when I'm never here just to work. It's like I'm essentially living like a commuter job. Like what am I doing here? Just kidding, guys. When I was looking for housing here, I was planning to move out with a friend here. I found beautiful, beautiful remodeled or newly built 3-bedroom, 3 to 4 bedroom houses that were being sold for like $1,300 a month for rent. And I was just like, I could own my own house for $1,300 and still be fine, you know? Okay, I'll get really transparent here with you guys with money, but I make like about I don't know, like either 7,000 to 8,000 grossly a month. And oh yeah, that's another thing everybody in the other video likes to hate on. They're just like, okay, but don't you get so much taxes taken out? Short answer is, yeah, we get a lot of taxes taken out. For my situation, I get about like 1,000 taken out every paycheck. And then I also contribute to a 401k, which I don't know if I'm maxing out, but I didn't know how to max out my 401k, but I'm giving a good amount of I think I'm giving like 12% or something like that to my 401k. So when I get my paycheck in the end, it's really not as much as you think it would be, but it's enough for me to pay for my car payment. It's enough for me to pay off my credit card bill. It's enough for me to pay a good amount into my student loans monthly. And it's enough for me to save a little bit as well. So it's all about being frugal. It's all about working with what you have. And if I truly, truly wanted to move out from my parents' house, I could, but then I'd be struggling and working like paycheck to paycheck. And at this moment in my life, I feel like I'm okay with where I'm at. I'm okay with saving, and I'm very grateful that I have parents that are willing to house me and help me, I guess, pay off my student loans. I mean, they're not helping me pay off my student loans. I'm paying off my student loans, but at least they're helping me in a sense that I don't need to pay for living wages when I'm out here. So that's a good pro in my life right now. Let's get some noodles. These are the noodles that are from the spicy noodle challenge. They're a lot thicker than normal ramen noodles. Definitely a lot more filling. If you guys are wondering how it's like to live here, I feel like, yes, living situations can be hard because if you do want to live in the Bay Area, you're paying so much money just to live there, and it just kind of balances out, especially with the amount you get working as a Bay Area nurse and then paying off your Bay Area living situation. But that's why I feel a lot of people from where I live commute every day, or not every day, since like as a nurse you're only working technically 3 days a week, but I know quite a few nurses that will commute 3 days or 3 nights a week, drive an hour and a half to the Bay, work, and then come back, and then it's like it's worth it to them. Like that commute is worth it to them because they're making so much more in the Bay Area. For me at the moment, it's not. Like I would rather live in the Bay. If it was me, I would rather live there, work there. And I guess, you know, there's like pros and cons to everything. Like if you're going to live in the Bay, you're going to have access to so much more food, so much more to do, so much more to sightsee, and you're just exposed to a lot more. Where I live, it's like the desert, guys. Where I live, it's just farmland. And there's no culture here. Like there's no such thing as Korean food out here. There's no like I pretty much know only one Indian restaurant. They're the most cultural kind of ethnic food that we have out here in my hometown is sushi. And it's just like I hated growing up here because there was nothing here and I lived in a bubble. I had no idea what these foods were until I went to college, which was in the Bay Area. So which brings me to why I just feel it's not realistic to live in the Bay Area, like long term with a family, unless you plan to rent the rest of your life. Which for some people, that's what they want to do. They don't want to be homeowners, which is totally cool. There's a lot of responsibility with becoming a homeowner. But I feel like that's not the path that I would want to take. And this is like a random fact about me, but I don't know where I want to settle down someday. I know for sure I do not want to end up here, which was my hometown. I do not want to end up here at all. I don't know if I want to live in SoCal because of how little you make. Like if I were to move down to SoCal, I would probably have to find a hospital, like a teaching hospital or a Kaiser, because if I were to go from here to there, I would probably have to break even. Like maybe I could find a place that I'm making the same amount, maybe a couple dollars less, and that would be worth it to me because living there in SoCal is just so much more cultural than living up here where I live. And I love the weather down there. So, I mean, that's a possibility. Like maybe I'm going to try it out someday. But I don't want to move down there until I pay off my student loans. That's the number one thing that's kind of holding me back from everything is my debt, which I guess now I do have a car debt to pay off, but that'll be done eventually. Like all of my loans that I have right now, I plan to pay off ASAP. Like I'm not trying to pay just the minimum for anything. I've been listening to the Dave Ramsey podcast. I don't know if you guys have listened to him, but it's like I want to make profit in my life. I don't want to be living in years and years of student debt. So I personally have the goal of paying off my student loans at least within the next year and a half to 2 years. I did want to pay it off within a year, but then ever since I got my car, it kind of just like took a back seat in that. So I'm kind of gonna slow down on my loans because I don't know, there's just other things. Like, you shouldn't let your loans also control the way you want to live. And for me, I'm a big traveler. I feel like it's important to travel in order to kind of get yourself into a different environment, and it's a nice break away from the reality of what life is, which is work. I don't think I mentioned how SoCal living is. So, Southern California living is surprisingly a lot cheaper than the Bay Area. I cannot get this rice cake for the life of me. Come on, babe. Her hair. I think in SoCal, not only are the places nicer, like you can find a really nice house to rent with roommates or by yourself for like the same kind of price here, if not a little bit more, maybe like 2,000, like 1,800 to 2,000 for a nice apartment complex, or like a nice house that has multiple bedrooms, maybe like 3 or 4. If you were to live in LA, however, if you were to live in Hollywood and in those types of areas, like the inflated areas, then for sure living wages are kind of ridiculous as well. It's going to be the same as the Bay Area. And you're not going to be making as much as a nurse living in the Bay Area. I also heard from my friend that works down there as a nurse. She moved from San Jose to live in LA to work as a nurse. She's only making about like, I think 32 an hour. She says it's worth it because of just so much stuff, like all the stuff you get to do there with the nice weather. It's like you kind of have to pick and choose your battles. When it comes to living, she told me that either you pay more and you live close to everything where everything is, or you pay less for housing, but then you have to deal with the LA traffic. So it's like you kind of just pick and choose, do your pros and cons battle. I can't get enough of how good this all is. Oh my goodness. I ate half already. I feel like there's just so much rice cakes left. So chewy. I don't know if you guys would be interested in me making like a financial kind of video talking about like how I budget and what I spend my money on. Because I feel like that's the number one thing that I've started to do ever since working as a nurse, is all I do is think about how I'm going to budget. I think about the bills I have to pay. And man, like all I think about is money. And that's why I feel that I've made the effort to think about trips that I'm going to be taking, because I need a break from thinking about just money and how I'm going to pay off everything. It's so stressful, you guys. Obviously, everybody's situation is different. Some may say, oh, like my situation that I'm in is not even that hard because first off, I don't have kids. I'm not married. I don't have like a house. There's just so much factors to it. And All I have to say to that is that everyone's situation is different. We all have our things that are important to us that we need to pay for because our life here on earth revolves around money unless you live in an agricultural area like a Southeast Asian country. I have an auntie who moved here recently from the Philippines. She moved here because she's gonna work and try to bring how old is she? Her 4-year-old daughter, so my cousin, to America someday. And it's just crazy because she told me, like, I have been to the Philippines quite a few times, and it's a very, very third world country there, guys. Very, and where I've been in the Philippines is not, I mean, let me start over. Where I've been in the Philippines is very provincial. Like, I've been in the province where my families are from, which doesn't have much. It's not like the tourist areas that everybody visits, and it's not like all beautiful and stuff. It's just like agricultural, and there's not much to look at. And it's very just humbling, especially when you come from a place like America where we have things like air conditioning and we have nice beds and we have paved roads and cars everywhere. I mean, there's cars everywhere in the Philippines too, but more so like the tuk-tuks or like I forgot what they're called, but like the little tiny cars that are driven by people in bikes. So yeah, it's just like I imagined if I were a child, if I was someone that grew up in a Southeast Asian country and I were to come to America and feel how it's not humid and 100 billion degrees, and see like how industrial everything is, like buildings everywhere and everything is high tech and there's such things as like sleek computers, everybody has an iPhone kind of thing, I would think like, whoa, this is so cool. Like, am I living like in the future kind of thing? Like, that's how I would feel. But my auntie, I'm thinking because she's older, obviously she's much more wise and she has better values than what a child like me would think if I were to just newly move here. But she thinks, or she told me that she just thinks it's so hard to live here. She was just basically like, oh, I asked her like, oh, so what do you think about America? And she was just like, oh, it just seems like a lot of hard work to be here. Which is true. Like, all we do here in America is work, work, work. And what she was doing in the Philippines was just enjoying life and hanging out in the backyard and eating the food that was grown in the dirt. And it's just like, it's a different lifestyle here for sure. And I never really looked at it that way, that we do live in a world where it's just hard work. You're constantly working just to live because there's no way you could survive in America without like gaining some kind of income from working. Very crunchy. Seriously, the best. I should just cook this with just noodles. I would just love to slurp these like all day. I'm so happy that so many of you guys have been reaching out to me on social media. I feel like the best way to contact me is definitely through Instagram or in the YouTube comments because I read all the comments for sure. As for my email, it's very rare that I check that specific one. because it's my school email from where when I went to San Francisco State. But I mean, I do still look at it. It's been so fun getting to interact with you guys on social media and really getting to know all your guys' stories. And it's so crazy how similar a lot of our stories are. I've been getting contacted by people who are my age or they're younger. Even those of you that are older find some interest in me, which is very interesting because I feel like I'm just this young 24-year-old just trying to find my way through this world. I feel like I'm not that inspiring because I like got really bad grades in school, and I feel like I don't speak like super professional, so I'm not the greatest to listen to if you're trying to get a higher IQ. And I'm making videos like this, eating food while talking to you guys. Like, what kind of nurse am I? It looks like my camera is about to die. It's flashing that battery signal at me. So I think I have to go now. But thank you guys for joining me. If you guys thought this was like a weird video, please let me know. Let out all your concerns about how weird and awful this video was. But if you like this video where I talk to you guys about what's on my mind and everything, please let me know about that as well, and maybe I can make a little bit more of these. I mean, it was really fun to do. I basically got to get my first meal of the day out of the way, as well as film this video and let you guys know about some questions you guys have been asking. And yeah, all in all, this was really fun. Please leave your suggestions of what you guys would like me to talk about in the next video. And thank you all for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And I'll see you in the next video.